Point Park men's basketball continued their winning ways as women's basketball take two unfortunate losses. Off-season Steeler moves, pitchers and catchers report to spring training, Penn's power play still isn't clicking, and the Panthers head to Virginia. The big game champs are crowned, with off-season baseball moves still being made. And who is the GOAT? It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Natalia Hillen. The Point Park University men's basketball team has been on a big winning streak. They had a huge matchup last week against Rio Grande and left CCAC with a win in a final score of 75-59. Game leaders were Joe Valerie with 23 points and 14 rebounds, Jalen Stamps with 17 points, 8 rebounds and 4 assists, and Jameson Smith with 15 points. Switching gears over to their most recent matchup against Shawnee State, the Pioneers took home the win 72-64. Joe Valerie entered the game with 985 points and ended up scoring over 1,000 career points. He now has a total of 1,009 points for an average of 20.2 points per game. Also, congratulations to Joe on being named the RSC Men's Basketball Player of the Week for the second time this season. At the half, the Pioneers were leading 36-35. Key game leaders were Valerie with 24 points and 13 boards, Nate Van with 12 points and 12 rebounds, Jags Jawar with 12 points, 8 boards and 2 blocks, and Jalen Stamps with 11 points and 4 assists. Shawnee State's game leaders were Keith Gurman with 18 points and 9 rebounds, and Johnson with 16 points and 8 boards. The final score of the matchup was 72-64 Point Park. After the win against Shawnee State for the first time being, Point Park is in the first place spot in the division with 3 games left of the season. The Pioneers are 23-2 overall and 12-2 in the RSC. Now switching gears over to the Point Park women's basketball team, as they also have had 2 matchups against Rio Grande and Shawnee State this past week. The Pioneers took 2 unfortunate losses against Rio, 86-79, and Shawnee State, 61-59. Starting with Rio Grande matchup, they were tied up 9 times and had 8 lead changes. Late in the third quarter, PPU had big baskets to tie things up, 55-55 and 57-57, but Rio Grande ended up scoring the final 6 points of the quarter. Entering the fourth quarter, the score was 63-57. In the fourth, with 5:48 left in the clock, the Red Storm had a run and built a lead of 75-59. The Pioneers trimmed the 16-point deficit down, but it was not enough to come back. The key game players were Jillian Piccolino with 23 points as she made 4 3-pointers and 7 rebounds. Ari Bleda had 15 points and 10 rebounds. Alexis Giles had 14 points, and Gabby Legister had 10 points and 13 boards. Now onto the matchup against Shawnee State. The Pioneers fell short, taking a loss 61-59. Early in the third quarter, the Pioneers were down by 15, but battled back to get the score to 50-42 going in the fourth quarter. With 1:34 left, Ichada Ballo had a layup to get the Pioneers to 61-59. Key game leaders were Alexis Giles with 14 points and 3 assists, Gabby Legister with 14 points and 8 rebounds, and Ari Bleda with 11 points to lead the Pioneers. The women's team are 16-7 overall and 9-5 in the RSC. Both the men's and women's teams will be on the road for their next matchup against Alice Lloyd this Saturday, February 17th. The Pioneers will be finishing up their regular season with home matchups against Ohio Christian on Tuesday, February 20th, and WVU Tech on Friday, February 23rd. Good luck to both teams as they practice and compete this week. Today, I spoke with Emma Pavlik and Jillian Piccolino about what they are expecting heading into their upcoming matchups against Alice Lloyd and Ohio Christian.
So we play Alice Lloyd on Saturday, and this is a huge game for us because this team is a very good team, and last time we played them, we had one of their players drop a lot of points on us, 40 to be precise. And when we played them the first time, they were actually missing some of their better players, which is going to make this game totally different. You know, we beat them by by a lot the first time, but that doesn't really correlate or relay to the game that we're going to be playing on Saturday. They have a whole new team, and we're also a whole new team. We have, worked on new things. We've gotten better. So I think that this is going to be a really important and a big matchup for us. It's also harder because we're going to be playing out in the middle of Kentucky. Obviously a nice home game is easier to play in. It's easier to play and shoot on your own rims and have your fans all around you. But traveling out to Kentucky is also going to be an obstacle that we have to overcome for this game. But I think if we lock in, we follow our principles, and we do what we need to do with the preparation we've been doing over the past week or so, we should be fine.
Yes, so we play Ohio Christian this upcoming Tuesday. We did play Ohio Christian once already. We played them away, and we ended up losing that game. It was a good game. It was a hard-fought game, but I think this game is really important. This is one of the biggest games that we have left in our season, and it's going to be a really important win for us. They're another top team in our conference, and so it's important that we get this win for going into playoffs, just to get a good seeding, because our records are pretty similar. So it's definitely going to be it's going to swing the playoff standings. But yeah, so it's going to be a pretty big matchup. Again, it's going to be at home, so it'll be nice because we'll have our own rims, our own fans, the atmosphere. We know how to play. We play really well at home, so I think it's going to be a good game. We're excited.
Thanks, Emma and Jillian. After the break, we're back with track. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now let's send things over to Hannah Bazet to recap the track team's last meet. Hannah?
Nat, it was another big week for Point Park's men's and women's track teams who traveled to Geneva, Ohio, where they competed in the Spire Indoor Collegiate Games. This is the last meet the team competed in preparation for the RSC Indoor Track and Field Championships taking place next week. Starting first with our women's team, the distance medley relay brought home third place, consisting of Olivia Hare, Diamond Rush, Jana Schmid, and Allison Placio, with their time of 12 minutes and 35.42 seconds. They posted the top time in the RSC and were just 5 seconds away from the NAIA National Qualifying Standard. Placio also lowered her time in the 800 meters, PRing, and is ranked first in the RSC. Karen Rios was in the top 10 in the 600 meters, placing 8th, and Rakia Ellsbury led the Pioneers in the 60 meters with her time of 8.22 seconds. And Sideline's own Natalia Hillen competed in the 200 meters with her time of 26.47 seconds. Hannah Bond was the top performer for the Pioneers in the 400 meters, and both Hillen and Bond also competed in the 60-meter hurdles, with Hillen taking home 14th and Bond not too far behind her. There was also several PRs, including Cassandra O'Connor and Corinne Lee Hauser, both PRing in the mile, and Sophia Lee Hauser, Maya Jackson, and Amanda Losato all PRing in the 3,000 meters. Now moving on to our men's team, Elijah James placed third in the 600 meters with his time of 1 minute and 22.70 seconds, followed by teammate Toby Wright, who got 6th. Juan Barrera took home 9th in the 400 meters, and Kanye Mills placed 14th. Mills also competed in the 60-meter hurdles, placing 7th, and ran the NAIA National B standard to make it to finals at 8.27 seconds. It was also a big meet for Ramiro Ulunke, who placed 17th out of 94 runners in the 800 meters. This is the second time he's ran at the NAIA B standard for the year, and he took the top spot in the RSC rankings. Congratulations, Ramiro. In the 3,000 meters, Yannick Windelband had the highest placement at 17th, followed by Luke McKenna and Joshua Goslin. Sideline's own Gabe Ebersole led the Pioneers in the mile with his time of 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Demir Lomax ran in the 200 meters at 22.90 seconds, and in the 60 meters, Doria Botswain and Devin McGee brought home the top times for Point Park. Finally, Xavier Tolliver competed in both the long and triple jump for the Pioneers, bringing home 15th and 37th respectively. The Pioneers will be competing again at the RSC Indoor Track and Field Championships in Logan, Ohio on February 17th. The group is hoping to get a three-peat as they've won the past 2 indoor overalls and 5 of the 6 since the RSC indoor meet was established back in 2018. We will be cheering on our teams this weekend, and we'll be back here next weekend to tell you how they performed. Now I'll send things to Bryn for baseball. Bryn?
Thanks, Hannah. Point Park baseball is back, and they've already started their season with a sweep. They took on the Fisher College Falcons in a 4-game series on Friday and Saturday at Wild Things Park. The Pioneers took the first game with an impressive 16-2 win. The team had 4 total home runs from Omar Murillo, Isaac Santana, Macaulay Brito, and Chris Williams. Both Williams and Santana went 3 for 4 at the plate. Pitcher Javier Cardozo pitched 6 innings to capture the win, allowing only 2 runs and 6 hits. In Game 2, the Pioneers won 7-4 thanks to a 2-for-2 performance from Murillo and a 2 RBI single from Christian Taveras. Pitcher Ramon Rodriguez earned the win after allowing 6 hits in a little over 5 innings. Saturday opened with yet another dub for the Pioneers. Jared Campbell hit a 2-run homer to take the lead, followed by RBIs from Murillo, Santana, and Carlos Martinez to earn the 6-3 win. Reliever Ethan Parker got the win after a hitless 1.2 innings. The series closed on Saturday afternoon when the Pioneers closed out the Falcons 9-4 to secure the sweep. Taveras went 3 for 3 with 2 singles, a triple, and 3 RBIs. Parker earned the win once again after throwing 2 strikeouts and allowing 1 hit and 1 run. Coach Torres earned his 600th career win after Saturday's opener, entering his 15th year as head coach at Point Park. Torres only needs 6 more wins to hit yet another milestone of 500 wins as a Pioneer coach. Point Park is now 4-0 as they travel to Georgia this week to take on number 2 ranked Georgia Gwinnett, followed by a 3-game series against Toccoa Falls. Good luck to our Pioneers, and back to Nat at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah and Bryn. After the break, we hear about the rest of the sports world from this past week. Don't go anywhere.
It's a tough crowd.
Welcome back. Now I'll be sending things over.
They continue their road struggles. A pair of 1-goal losses dropped the Penguins to 2-4-1 in their last 6 games, and behind the New Jersey Devils and Washington Capitals in the standings. Several of the Penguins' worrisome habits from earlier in the season cropped up in the loss to the Winnipeg Jets, with an indifference to play and defense at the forefront. However, goaltender Tristan Jarry kept them within striking distance once again to no avail. Pittsburgh will have a chance to rebound on Wednesday, in which they will be back at home to host the Florida Panthers in a tough matchup. The Panthers hit the road against the Penguins, aiming to extend an 8-game road winning streak. Wednesday's game is the third time these teams match up this season, in which the Panthers won 3-2 in a shootout in the previous matchup. While the Penguins' struggles continue to be at the forefront at the midway point of the season, Wednesday game will be a pivotal one at home. In NFL news, Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward took home this year's Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Congratulations to Cam, and well-deserved for all of his work outside of football. The NFL offseason officially started today, and the Pittsburgh Steelers wasted no time in making moves to clear salary cap space. The team announced the release of quarterback Mitch Trubisky, offensive lineman Chuck Okorafor, and punter Presley Harvin. The writing has been on the wall for all three for weeks now. It was only a matter of time for the Steelers doing the deed. With the team reportedly $16 million over the 2024 salary cap, Pittsburgh was forced to make moves, and they've decided to start with them sooner rather than later. Mitch Trubisky, who was the primary backup to Kenny Pickett in 2023, was benched after a 3-game losing streak in favor of the third-string quarterback Mason Rudolph. Trubisky attempted to resurrect his career as a starter for Pittsburgh in 2022. The Steelers drafted Pickett in the first round shortly after signing Trubisky. Pickett's arrival started the clock on his tenure as a starter, which ended just 4 games into his first season with the team. Trubisky posted a 2-5 record as a starter in the Steel City and has likely ended any chance of being a starting quarterback in the NFL in the foreseeable future. Okorafor was the Steelers' starting right tackle until a mysterious sideline incident against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was benched in favor of rookie Broderick Jones. Okorafor had 1 year remaining on a 3-year contract he inked during Kevin Colbert's final year as the Steelers' GM. The Steelers drafted Harvin in the 7th round of the 2021 NFL Draft, but proved to be very inconsistent. The 3 moves will save the Steelers about $13 million in salary cap space. With the NFL offseason just starting, Pittsburgh will have plenty of work to do to prepare for the 2024 NFL season. In MLB news, the Pittsburgh Pirates are adding 2-time All-Star catcher Yasmani Grandal, per the Associated Press. The club and the 35-year-old Grandal have agreed to terms on a 1-year contract worth $2.5 million as Pittsburgh is searching for depth at the catcher position, with Endy Rodriguez being ruled out for the 2024 season after Tommy John surgery in December. Rodriguez got injured while playing winter ball in his native Dominican Republic. Grandal would join a catching situation that includes former number 1 overall pick Henry Davis, Jason DeLay, and Ali Sanchez. Grandal is a career .237 hitter while playing for 4 teams across 12 seasons, including the last 4 years with the Chicago White Sox. Grandal hit .234 with 8 homers and 33 RBIs in 118 games with the White Sox in 2023. Grandal has provided power at the plate during his prime, in which he's topped 20 home runs in a season 5 times, most recently with Chicago in 2021. He made a pair of All-Star teams earlier in his career, first in 2015 while playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and again in 2019 while playing with the Milwaukee Brewers. With a couple days before the start of spring training, Pittsburgh will look to finalize some off-season moves for a club that is looking to compete in 2024. In Pitt basketball news, the Panthers have played their way back into contention for the NCAA tournament and can take a massive step forward in making the postseason resume legitimate with a victory over one of the hottest teams in the ACC and college basketball at large in the Virginia Cavaliers tonight at 7. The Cavaliers own the country's 7th longest win streak at 8 games and Division I's longest home winning streak at 23 games. The Panthers have been road warriors, particularly in ACC play. After knocking off NC State last week, Pitt is tied with Duke and Wake Forest for the 2nd-best road record in the ACC. Pitt's win over Duke was massive in the moment, but the lead-up to that game did not come with the kind of hype this one does. These two are one of the hottest teams in the league, and with the Cavaliers having vaulted up to the number 21 spot in the rankings in the AP poll and 2nd place in the ACC standings, the Panthers have a chance to notch a rare marquee win. If the Panthers want a shot at the postseason, this is a must-win game for a team who is making some serious noise in the back half of the season. That's all from me and everything happening locally. Now I'll send things over to Payson Celesti to recap the rest of the sports world. Peyton?
Thanks, Mike. The NFL season is officially over. The big game ended in one of the most thrilling fashions in history as Patrick Mahomes led his team from down 10 points once again to get his third ring and to lead the Chiefs franchise to back-to-back championships. But it wouldn't come easy, as the 49ers were dominant at the line of scrimmage for most of the first half, but couldn't gain a substantial lead. Up 3-0 late in the second quarter, 49ers QB Brock Purdy threw a backwards pass to wide receiver Jauan Jennings, who threw across the field to Christian McCaffrey, who had an open lane, scoring a walk-in touchdown. The Chiefs would end the half with a 28-yard field goal. Kansas City finally started to gain some momentum in the third quarter, as kicker Harrison Butker would break the big game record that was just set in the first half by 49ers kicker Jake Moody, as he kicked a 58-yard field goal to cut the San Francisco lead to 4. After a muffed punt by former Steeler Ray McCloud set up great field position for the Chiefs offense, Mahomes would find Marquez Valdez-Scantling wide open for a touchdown that eventually gave the Chiefs a 13-10 lead. The fourth quarter set up for an all-time finish. Jauan Jennings would now catch a touchdown to take back the lead, but Moody missed an extra point to keep it a 3-point deficit for Kansas City. Both teams would continue to trade field goals, and the game was tied 19-19 after regulation. This was only the second time in history that the big game went into overtime, the only other time being the Atlanta Falcons' iconic 28-3 choke to the New England Patriots in 2017. The Niners would start with the ball, but managed to once again only get a field goal, and Mahomes would work his magic with critical plays on key downs for a game-winning touchdown drive. On first and goal, Mahomes found McCole Hardman for a wide-open touchdown to win 25-22, as the 49ers were once again sent home in heartbreaking fashion in the big game. Now we are on to another exciting offseason of speculation, with free agency set to start soon and the draft coming up in late April. Now on to the NHL standings. The Boston Bruins, who were the President's Trophy winners last season, are aiming for it again, but are followed closely behind last year's Cinderella Cup finalist Florida Panthers in the Atlantic Division. In the Metro, the New York Rangers are at the top with their 34 wins. The Central Division is led by the Dallas Stars, followed by the 2022 Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. Finally, in the Pacific, the Vancouver Canucks have been unbelievable so far and lead the whole NHL in wins and points. The reigning champion Vegas Golden Knights are in second place in the Pacific. The college basketball season is heating up and hitting March soon. The reigning champion UConn Huskies, who ran through last year's tournament, have their sights on a repeat as they are still the top dog in the country at number 1 in the top 25. The Purdue Boilermakers, who became the second team ever to lose as a 1 seed in the first round, are bouncing back strongly as the second team in the nation, with 7'4" starting center Zach Edey still leading the charge. Edey is third in the country with 23.3 points per game. And finally, head coach Kelvin Sampson's Houston Cougars round out the top 3 with a 21-3 record. Outside of the top 3, many teams are neck and neck. Marquette, Arizona, Kansas, and UNC all have 5 losses and are some of the top teams in the country, but don't have much breathing room to get near the top of the NCAA March Madness bracket. Don't forget to fill out your bracket soon, as Selection Sunday is only a month away. Although pitchers and catchers are currently reporting to their respected spring training facilities in Arizona and Florida, the MLB offseason is still full of excitement, as there are new signings every day with many hot commodities still on the market. NL Cy Young winner Blake Snell, outfielder Cody Bellinger, starting pitcher Jordan Montgomery, and slugging third baseman Matt Chapman are all coming off incredible seasons, but are still looking for a place they can call home long term. Most recently, the Dodgers continued their massive offseason by re-signing their longtime veteran ace and likely Hall of Famer left-handed pitcher Clayton Kershaw to a 1-year deal. But the Orioles were the ones to make the biggest headline so far this month by acquiring former Cy Young winner Corbin Burns from the Milwaukee Brewers for prospects to solidify a very strong rotation. The World Series champion Texas Rangers re-signed star outfielder Adolis Garcia to a long-term deal after his incredible performance this past postseason. The Phillies, however, lost slugger Rhys Hoskins to the Brewers on a 2-year, $24 million deal. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, guys. After the break, we discuss who our GOAT is. Stay tuned.
Three, two, one. Take them, cue them, open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back to Case of the Week. This week, I'm joined by Ryan, Gabe, and Peyton, and today we're going to discuss the GOAT conversation between Brady and Mahomes. So first, before we discuss that, I want to touch on the big game here. Hear your opinions, kind of what went down. Chiefs took the win home. What do you think, Ryan?
What this game comes down to is about the second half. You can see that San Francisco played a good first half, shut down that offense like everyone expected them to. But just Andy Reid's coaching in the second half is second to none. I mean, there's a reason why he's one of the best coaches to ever coach this game. And then Brock Purdy just not driving the ball downfield in the second half cost San Francisco not putting up points. I mean, they had chances where they could put the game away. They just couldn't capitalize on those chances. So that was like what I see out of I'm not saying this was San Francisco's game to lose, but I'm just saying that you just can't slow down in the second half against an Andy Reid Kansas City Chiefs team.
And we discussed before, obviously, like the Chiefs have been there, done that before. They kind of know what they're doing in that way. What do you think?
Well, to start off, I would disagree with your point because I saw Brock Purdy lead 3 go-ahead scoring drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. I think that the offense was competent enough in the second half. I think that the clock management was more the issue, and also they just had trouble staying on the field on third downs. They didn't convert on third down very well throughout the night, but they were able to push the ball down the field and score at the end of it. It just came down to the Chiefs were able to just outshoot them at the end. And you can say what you want about the overtime, but they weren't going to try harder to score a touchdown if they thought that the rules were different. They went and kicked a field goal, and they got a touchdown put on them. There was no third drive. It didn't make a difference. So to me, the Chiefs executed better in clutch situations. The Niners couldn't string together enough stops, and they couldn't stay on the field long enough to win that game when they had the lead.
Peyton?
The 49ers, I mean, I thought they outplayed Kansas City for a majority of the game. They were more dominant at the line of scrimmage. I mean, Bosa and Warren, they were getting after Mahomes. But that's the difference in this game. This league is a quarterback-driven league, and Mahomes is the best in the world. And that was the difference in this game. But another big thing was the 49ers had a chance to win this game, and Kyle Shanahan once again proved that situationally he has issues. Like Christian McCaffrey. And all they had to do was just run the clock out, run the ball. McCaffrey was getting like 5 yards a carry. It was 2nd and 4 before the 2-minute warning. They decided to do a play action pass. Then they do another pass. They don't even have McCaffrey in the backfield. And that stopped the clock. They kick the field goal. Mahomes goes down and ties the game. If you let McCaffrey run the ball, he's your best player. And I think that's what happened with Shanahan in the past. He gets a little too pass happy. And you have good quarterbacks in Purdy and Garoppolo, but they're not special. And McCaffrey is a special player, and they should have put the ball in his hands to win the game in that moment, and they didn't do that. And that was the difference to me. And they put the ball in Mahomes' hands that whole second half and in overtime, and he's the best quarterback in the world, and that was a difference in the game for me.
I just want to touch on what you said, but I want to point out that McCaffrey had 30 touches in that game. He had 22 carries, he had 8 catches, he was the leading receiver and rusher for the 49ers. He was only averaging 3.5 a carry. It's not like he was moving the ball chunk yardage. And I also want to point out that on first down plays, the Niners were getting only over EPA estimated yards on their first play, 50% on the run. They were getting 80% on the pass. The matter of fact is the Chiefs wanted the 49ers to pass the ball. They knew that was their best chance to win the game, and they let Brock Purdy make those decisions at the end of the day. Maybe the last drive they could have played a little different, but I think people are putting too much blame on Kyle Shanahan as a whole. I don't think that he made the wrong decision when they were succeeding more passing the football.
At that point, though, in the game, they were getting 5 yards a carry with McCaffrey on that drive. Like McCaffrey he had wide open holes because that Chiefs D-line was tired because the previous drive, it was a 6-minute drive. So they were running 5 yards a carry, and McCaffrey, just on that drive, I'm not talking about the whole game, you had to give the ball to McCaffrey in that situation, and they didn't, and I just didn't understand that. In the third quarter, he had 2 carries alone. So that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah, so we're going to now touch on who the GOAT is. So there's been a lot of talk. Obviously, the Chiefs got the win. They got that touchdown at the end in overtime. Mahomes and Brady. Brady's an icon, obviously. Like, he's awesome. He retired. What do we think about Mahomes being, like, the new Brady of this generation?
Mahomes even came out and said he's not even halfway close to Brady. I mean, I agree with the statement. Now, look, is he on pace to be a Brady? Yes, he is. Could he be Brady? In my feeling, I think he could be, but he's not Brady. Brady, everyone's going to say, well, Brady also played against in a different NFL in his first three Super Bowls, where you couldn't throw the ball in the middle of the field without getting the receivers getting their head taken off. You couldn't run as a quarterback. You can't run as a quarterback, or you're going to get hit. I mean, it's just a different NFL.
Mm-hmm. All right, Gabe, Roke, what do you think?
For Tom Brady, to me, I just feel like you're allocating a lot of team credit for wins. Like, just look at so his AFC Championship games. His first 5 AFC Championship games, he plays the Steelers, throws 115 yards in a win. Next year, he plays the Colts, a 70 QB rating in a win. Next year, the Steelers, again, 200 yards in a win. And then he plays the Colts, he loses. And then he plays Phillip Rivers on a torn ACL whenever he plays the 15-1 Chargers. He throws 2 picks, no touchdowns, and he wins. In his career, Tom Brady, in the championship game, has thrown multiple interceptions 6 times. And in 5 of those games, he has thrown more picks and touchdowns. He is 5-1 in those games. You are giving him too much credit in just a team sport where his defense is majority picking up the slack. In 4 of his 10, he hasn't even scored more than 20 points. The defense steps up. Against Joe Burrow, which was the worst playoff game of Patrick Mahomes' career, he collapsed up 21-3, and he still finished with a 91 passer rating. When he plays against Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, these AFC quarterbacks that we all gas up, he not only steps up to the plate, he elevates his team to that next threshold, and that's the difference maker every single time. He is the X factor. Patrick Mahomes is the reason they win games. Not only am I going to say that Tom Brady doesn't lead the Patriots to wins, I will go as far to say that in his case, in his career, there's been many times that the Patriots have won in spite of Tom Brady. And I think that you're giving him way too much credit, whereas Pat Mahomes delivers time and time again, comes through iconic performances. And to me, he's the best quarterback on that field and I've ever seen play football.
Okay, so I agree with both of you in a sense. Mahomes obviously is more athletically gifted and has more arm talent than Brady, right? We know this. But if you look at their first 6 years of their careers, Mahomes has way more touchdowns, way fewer interceptions. Same amount of wins and more AFC titles. But I know the thing is, yes, Mahomes needs to do a lot more, right, to surpass Brady. But in the first 6 years, he's definitely on pace. So I think, Mahomes is definitely there for sure. But he just has to keep doing what he's doing and keep putting up the numbers.
So you think he's on pace to be there, but right now, no?
No, but I would say, yeah, if he continues this rate, he'll surpass. And I don't think he necessarily has to get 7 rings. So you can get 5. Like, I know the LeBron-Jordan debate. A lot of people say LeBron is better than Jordan. That doesn't mean LeBron LeBron doesn't have more rings than Jordan. But I think there's a good chance he gets more rings. So,
Any final thoughts?
I mean, the thing about being a GOAT, you got to be good leadership. And under Brady, he had to deal with a honestly young prime Gronkowski was hard to deal with. Everybody knows that. He had AB on that team, and I'm not going to mention the third tight end he had because that's the whole thing in itself. And he's controlled that. It's not like what Travis did to Andy Reid under Brady wouldn't have happened, in my opinion, because Brady controls his players better than Mahomes does.
Okay, I'm not going to take a guy who throws tablets on the sidelines 24/7 as the guy who's going to hold people in check. Just because Travis Kelce went out, and Mahomes has acted out too, but within the lines of the football field, there is no one I have more confidence in winning a football game than Patrick Mahomes all time, and him to be the catalyst. No matter who's around me, if I have no idea who my players are, I'm starting with Patrick Mahomes, my number one pick, over Tom Brady.
and we will say that Brady wasn't as dominant early in his career. Belichick and those defenses carried them to in the first 5 to 10 years of his career, but Brady continued to get better and better and better. Whereas Mahomes, right, he's been dominant. He's the one that's carried them. Now this year the Chiefs defense was critical,
Right.
but in the past other years it was the Chiefs offense for sure.
There need to be more room we need more time for Mahomes, in my opinion. I mean, can Mahomes be better than Brady? Yes, he very much can be. But I need more time in Mahomes for me to make that jump against Brady, in my opinion.
That's fine. I've seen enough peaks out of Mahomes to already have him over Brady's peaks, so it's fine with me.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your input. That's all the time that we have this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.